The ARY, you see, I don't want to name them, they created a situation as if martial law is going to be imposed. I wish every time there is a threat of martial law, the courts remain open. I wish they were open on 5th of July when General Ziaul Haq was removing an elected prime minister. I wish they were open on 12th of October when General Pervez Musharraf had thrown out an elected prime minister. If anyone had attempted to remove unconstitutionally an elected prime minister till then, Mr. Imran Khan, then it would have been a test of the Islamabad High Court whether it stands up to uphold the Constitution or not.
Thank you, Justice Minallah.
So Kabir asked me about my childhood. I was very, very fortunate. Very fortunate I was born in a house. My parents were one of the ideal parents that one can have. My father was part of the most elitist service then in the country. It was the ruling class of that time. That was the civil service of Pakistan, and they were known as CSPs, the successors of the Indian civil service. And unfortunately, since from the very early time, constitutionalism in Pakistan could not progress because of interventions by those who had no right to govern the country. But even amongst those elitist classes, my father was a very different kind of a person. He was a people's man. The people of Pakistan are extremely resilient. They have struggled, they have resisted unconstitutionalism, they have resisted authoritarian rules for the last 76 years. But it becomes more difficult for them. It becomes more challenging when the outside world endorses the unconstitutional authoritarian regimes in these countries in the developing world. It only makes it difficult for them.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Looks like you started. So when did you read law? When did you get into the legal profession and studied for it?
Well, from the very beginning, I was passionate about the profession. I don't know, probably because of my uncle, who was a judge of the Supreme Court, and he was one of the judges who was on the bench that decided Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's case, and he was the one of the 3 dissenting judges. And then he was hounded out of the country. Probably he inspired me, but from the very beginning I was passionate about the profession of law. But when I did my law, my father had passed away. So probably I looked for a shortcut and took my civil services exam, but I couldn't find that service according to my temperament. So I resigned and then rejoined the legal profession.
And is it before that you read law at Cambridge, or was it afterwards?
No, when I was in service, that was also part of it. I got this scholarship, Chevening scholarship, and fortunately I also got admission at Cambridge. So I read it at Cambridge, and then I resigned from the civil service.
Right. Well, as a young advocate, you've just come back from Cambridge, and you want to start your own practice. What was the state of the country at the time?
No, when I came back, there was a elected government, and things were somewhat stable. There was democracy, but I think I was very, very fortunate because such an opportunity very rarely someone gets, because two of my closest friends, they were already in the law practice, and we three of us, we formed a firm, and it's probably a rare thing that has happened. All three of us were later elevated as High Court judges. All three of us served different high courts, and now all three of us, we are in the Supreme Court.
Absolutely, it is remarkable. It is remarkable, it is something that...
With your permission, if you don't mind, if you recall, when George W. Bush in 2005, in his inaugural speech, he made a declaration. He made a declaration that the United States would support democratic movements around the world, and that they would not support any oppressor, nor they would ignore any oppressor, and that they would not forgive any oppressor. But when, I mean, I can't blame anyone, because every nation has its own priorities and national interests, but probably George W. Bush forgot about his declaration and gave a red carpet treatment to General Pervez Musharraf, and things then changed. And that also changed. You see, the reason why I'm saying this is that the people of Pakistan are extremely resilient. They have struggled, very, very dynamic, and she was a leader. And after, when my father died, she was the one who brought us up. And if today I am given a chance, that what at that time, if you had an option, that one of your parents had to be taken, who would you opt for? I would have said, my mother wanted. I would want my mother to take care of us. So, because of my father being in the civil service, I was born in Chitral, one of the remotest places in the Northwest Frontier Province. I studied in various schools in very far-flung areas as well. I studied in North Waziristan, I studied in Zob, I studied in Gil, I studied in Peshawar, I studied in Lahore, and ultimately ended up in Islamabad. So I was fortunate, you see, because I was exposed to the real Pakistan, and also in Quetta. So I'm very fortunate that I had a wonderful childhood, and I learned a lot because of studying and getting to know so many people in such different, diverse areas. So that is what I am, and whatever I am today, I am only and only because of my mother.